Hello and welcome to the Labour Social tonight. It's Thursday, the 27th of July, 2023. And I'm joined by Phil Morehouse. Hello, Phil. And Danny fucking Price. And Aid Thompson as well. Sorry, you're not supposed to swear within the first 5 minutes of a video, are you, on YouTube? Oh, well, mess that up. Yeah, no, this ain't going to get monetized, so, you know, the super chats are open. So welcome. Hello, everyone out there. We've got John Bull, we've got Colin, we've got Vendetta, we've got Johnny Copperhead, we've got Francis, and we've got Dave W. and Tim Davis. And number 3 is there as well. Hello, Richard. Okay, so what's been happening this week? I heard a fetus got made a lord in the House of Lords. What? You can't say that. There's a super injunction, maybe. We don't know. There might be one. Well, I mean, it seems really obvious. His ex-wife's name was something Owen, wasn't it? And his mum's name was Charlotte. Oh, sorry, everyone. I realise you're not actually getting the sound on this, so I'm just going to have to fiddle with the sound settings. Just 1 minute. Oh, this is always fun. Shit. If you guys can just keep talking, but no one can hear you outside of... damn it. Why is there no sound coming through? Oh, I've got £5 off Knackered Medic there. Thank you very much. We're just trying to get this sorted so you can actually hear us, or hear the other people in the chat. Right, that doesn't work. It didn't work either. That's not working. It was working a minute ago.
We spent more time in the session talking about YouTube sound.
Talking now. That's working. That seems to be working. Excellent. Might have fixed it. Might have gone and done it.
You good? Are we good?
Yeah, I think so. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, 1 2 1 2. Sorry about live television. It's not even television. It's YouTube. Right. First of all, thank you very much to Knackered Music for the £5 super chat. Sorry that only people could hear me then. No one could hear what you were saying. So Phil was just explaining that he doesn't think that Charlotte Owen is actually the daughter of Boris Johnson.
No.
Why not?
Because it like wouldn't make sense. Like, why would, just because it would like be him doing something for someone else. She's in the House of Lords because of something she knows, not who she.
Yeah, well, I actually agree. That was my first thought. I mean, I could say that and say just because she looks just like his mum when she was young and has the same name and is the appropriate age, like she doesn't have to be his daughter. But like, I also do think it could be a relative. I think it could be a relative. Like, I mean, what I said this morning, I put a post out about this morning. I said I don't want to believe that it's his daughter. I don't want to believe that it's a relative, because to me that would truly mean that that's just the most ridiculous thing to happen. And even though like things are ridiculous right now, but that would just be like, what the fuck are you doing? So like, as much, even if somebody actually came out and said that's the door, I still think actually no, it's not. Probably.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it would be a step too far.
Yeah,
especially for him, because he's so sort of infamously this character who doesn't even fucking acknowledge like one of his other kids. For him to then go to the nth degree and gift one of his other apparently illegitimate children would be
it's like a massively delayed child support scheme.
Yeah, it's like, sorry I wasn't there to take you to pony practice, but here you go.
Have a peerage.
I mean, I think my theory on it is I don't think that she is the daughter. I think it stinks to high heaven that nobody's talking about it, which means it's something really bad. But I think based on his character and history, I think it's significantly more likely she was put in as maternity cover for someone. We know that. I think she's young and blonde and reasonably attractive. I think he has a thing for young, blonde, reasonably attractive women. He's probably blown his... Like I'm just saying he's probably had his way with her. This is the,
what if it's his daughter?
Plus, she looks like his mom when she was young, and he loves it. Hang on. So he got a blowjob.
What if there's some kind of like horrible old boy thing going on here?
Well, I mean, they do call Johnson like Britain Trump, and you know what Trump said about his own daughter.
Oh, God, this is getting dark.
I reckon Trump fucked his own daughter. To be fair, like I think they've got some fucking mad, disgusting shit going on there. Like,
Danny, are you trying to get me demonetized for life?
You invited me. What the fuck?
I like the fact that you started that sentence with "I reckon," just so you're like circumventing the defamation and libel and shit.
I reckon. People are saying. Can I just say a big shout out to Jonas, who's dropped 65 Swedish krona into the chat. As a Swede, I really want UK to be relevant again, and Labour is the only way to make this happen again in Europe. Which I think is true, but we've got a long and winding road before we get there, I'm afraid. Sorry.
For sure.
Yes. Charlotte Owen gave Uncle Boz technology lessons, and we're all paying for her to show her his floppy disk.
Nice.
He showed her his hard drive. Vincent got the old boy reference. Thank you. That means that the two rumours you just sort of swish them together.
Oh, right. I was a bit lost there.
Yeah, sorry. Have you seen the movie Old Boy? It's like
very good.
South Korean movie.
You must have seen it, Aid. Come on.
Old Boy, no.
You got no fucking culture.
Jesus Christ, it was remade by Spike Lee, actually. But
even the remakes, actually, the remakes, like when remakes are usually bad, the remake's actually quite decent. But obviously the original's better.
Yeah, the original, it's there's something very, very dark and creepy about it. Anyway, so One Angry Pagan just dropped in £2 super chat there. She probably won't be there for long. Well, yeah, because Starmer wants to get rid of the House of Lords. And I see this as a Trojan horse for getting PR into politics in the UK. Because if they reform the upper chamber, make it elected, they can't really have a first past the post upper chamber.
Very right.
I mean, can they?
Well, they can, but they shouldn't. It is a golden opportunity to have proportional representation. And at the very least, that then generates a discussion. Even if whatever system they're planning on, it still will inevitably start a national debate about systems of government or systems of election, for which we need to be straight on from day one talking about proportional representation. This is my big thing now. Labour this week gave the green light for an external campaign for PR. They're basically saying, you sort it out, you make sure it's a goer, and it'll happen. That's pretty much what they're saying.
What constitutes a goer in Labour?
So, from Labour's point of view, so imagine the situation. They've got, for the next election, we know, but let's say a future election. So they've got this manifesto. They've done well enough that people are sort of happy enough with them. They've got this manifesto. They're going, yeah, we can see where you're going with this. Yeah, we approve of this. And then they put in their PR, either as a manifesto promise, that's preferable, or a referendum, at which point the right wing go absolutely loopy and attack the hell out of it. And what Labour don't want to do is find themselves in a situation where they've backed something that could cost them the election. So it's at the moment, people will say, well, polling shows that people want voting change. Polling shows that people support proportional representation, but it has not been put to the fire yet. It's not been tested because there is no campaign. And although occasionally the Telegraph or the Spectator will write a piece saying how bad it would be, there's no immediate danger for them. So they need to have their feet put to the fire so that we can have that conversation. They can go mad at it, and we can show that it's still a robust, that it's got support, that it's still a robust policy. So Labour don't risk anything themselves.
Yeah, I think an important thing to highlight there is that. So I used to be really fearful that once, as you said, the right wing press machine really kicked into gear, that this idea of implementation of PR would be just kicked down the road. It wouldn't even get close to legislation. But actually, over the last sort of month or two, I've been mulling it over, and I'm like, because it would work so well for some of the smaller right vote splitting parties, you know, your reforms, or like the
Nigel
Brexit.
Farage is in very favour of it.
Yeah, it works well for them, right?
Tice. So's Richard Tice. You know, Josh, who's been on this, Josh Russell from Movement Forward, he has meetings with Richard Tice. Well, not just one-on-one, but he's there, and he's the leader of the whatever the new incarnation of the Farage tapeworm is today.
Reform UK, yeah.
Refuck party.
Refuck. Yeah. Nice.
Shout out to Brian there for the €2 super chat. Thank you very much. Love getting a couple of euros there. And number 3 says, I'm only here for Supertanskiii. Supertanskii's on her way. She's just late. We were just in a Zoom call with Tanskiii.
I've got a blonde wig.
Yeah, do you want to put that on, Danny?
I've got a blonde wig, and I swear a lot. I got some tips.
I also have a blonde wig somewhere. Have we got
the same cosplay as Supertanskiii before she comes?
That'd be fucking funny.
I do actually have a blonde wig, but it's all the way upstairs.
Oh, man.
Maybe next time.
That would be good.
But yeah, we were talking earlier as well about Nigel Farage's bank accounts. And we were chatting with Femi. He can't make it tonight, but he was saying that there was a troll. We were talking about YouTube and everything. He was talking about a troll that had a picture of George Soros with Femi as his puppet, because obviously Femi's a puppet of George Soros. And we got talking about GB News. So, you know, the guy who owns GB News made, what was it, £5 million hedging against NatWest?
Yeah.
This came out. It's an absolutely massive scandal.
It's fucking wild.
Completely ignored by the media. But do you know who started that guy off in the hedge fund industry, in the hedge fund business?
Who was it?
It was George Soros.
Gordon. Boom.
I know what you are, but what am I? It's just bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the whole situation is just the fact that he's getting no press, but like, you know, we've learned from the last month now things that they're just being like, nobody can ever have the argument ever again that the media is like liberal left. Like they have fucked that argument up forever. There's not, but nothing.
They still do it though. They still insist on it.
Oh, they will. They will.
Rishi Sunak's a socialist, don't you know?
Yeah. It's like, amazing.
Yeah.
It's like the only appropriate response now if they come out with that stuff. Like when we see how the allegations against Dan Wootton have just been completely ignored. The only appropriate response to that, I think, is to burst out in maniacal laughter, because the idea that the British press are too lefty, liberal, metropolitan elite is fucking ludicrous. Yeah. It's like, look.
I need to do some videos on Dan Wootton, because the Bylines Times have done 4 articles now, absolutely nailing him to the wall for soliciting photographs and videos. And using them to blackmail people. Yeah. I mean, there's criminal charges there.
There's a charge of rape. There's a charge of rape. Yeah. Well, 2.
And nothing. No, it's not been reported. It's not been on any of the newspapers.
But you know, the mystery BBC guy, the Hugh fucking Edwards, was it? Hugh Edwards?
Yeah.
Fucking thing.
Oh, that was all over
like,
the press,
wasn't it? Page after front page after front page for like a week. A whole fucking week. Like Dan Wootton, like somebody had to write to the Sun and be like, you're gonna fucking have a look at this all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. And no, they're not. Like, it's fucking wild.
Well, what's even more wild about it? So I often think about the staff at these places, because I've worked at a big broadcaster in Osterley. I won't name them. But because I've worked and sort of lived in that world, I'm aware that everyone that works at a place like GB News or like the BBC is not always totally politically aligned. A lot of people are just like young, metropolitan, progressive types. They work in technology or marketing. And this is just the fucking job that landed in a lap. And their rent is skyrocketing. And they're like, fuck, I'll just work there. But what amazes me is that those people are still working fine, knowing that there is this guy with, you say, 2 allegations of rape?
Oh yeah, I mean, they must have conversations. They must amongst themselves. They all must have conversations.
Like if you have a sister or like a fiance or something, and she's going into GB News every day, wouldn't you be like, I don't fucking like.
What are you doing?
Who are you working?
Exactly. Exactly.
Man.
Well, I mean, if anyone worked for the News of the World or the Sun or whatever, they must know that is just a toxic environment to live in, to work in anyway. But this is off the charts. Just before we go on, just a big shout out to Brian Ferguson for the €5 super chat. Evening to all. A special hello to Graham's hat, an impressively stiff brim. There you go. Right, you can all get back to what we were talking about, which is quite a heavy topic of Dan Wootton and these accusations of him.
What gets me is not so much the non-reporting in the press, because it is very serious. I want to know, is there a criminal investigation going on? Because there doesn't seem to be. Because that's who should really be doing something.
The evidence has been handed over to. There's so much evidence they've had to. This has gone on. Apparently, this has gone on for like 10 years, and they've been investigating for 3 years. And there's so much evidence that like they had to sort of stop at some point and be like, "Look, give all this shit." To the police.
I mean, there comes a point though where if you've got, you don't have to go through everything. If you've got something to charge him with, you charge him. You can always then, when he's in prison, say, "By the way, we've got now another 10 charges for you."
I don't think the police are actually. Well, the police haven't made any statements, have they?
No.
Which I find bizarre, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think anyone from the Sun or the Mail have come back to Byline yet either to confirm whether he still works for either of them.
Well, there was a letter that was sent from the Department of Culture, Media and Sport to the Sun, asking like what they were up to, and they apparently still haven't got back to them. Well, someone else has pointed out that he's done his own crowdfunder. Hey, Tanskiii, how you doing?
Hello.
We can't hear you yet. Yes. Hello, Tan. How you doing? Welcome.
Hello.
The thing that gets me though is that these are right-leaning businesses. Obviously, we all know that, and you've just said a second ago, Graham, that when people work in a place like that with a sleazy reputation, like they have, that they kind of know what they're signing up to. But even if that's true, even if they do kind of jive with the populist right stuff, actually to operate as a business and definitely as a broadcaster in the UK, they have to sit within certain regulatory and legal parameters. And it's fucking astounding that they won't reply to another journalist request to say, are you investigating this guy that we've created this whole dossier of fucking dodgy shit? The silence. I'm like, every day I'm like, I can't believe that motherfucker's still on. Like, is he on again tonight? Oh, fuck, there he is. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think he's had anything published on the Mail since it all blew up. I'm not sure. I mean, I'll double check. I don't think the Mail has published anything. Well,
they should just say
they're not going to, are they?
He's on.
Well, and admit that one of theirs was a wrong one. Like,
yes.
You know who these people are, like.
This is the thing that's missing is like there's such a fucking dearth of credibility, and it winds people like you, me, and Tan, and like everyone on this stream up, because it's like, look, you fucking know he's a wrong one. We know he's a wrong one. Here's the allegations. Here's the evidence, and it's just silence.
His last published article on the Mail was 29th of June. And it was regular. He's a regular columnist. Every few days there's something. But this month, the Mail have not published anything from Dan Wootton.
He went on that little holiday, didn't he? His little
holiday.
He went to New Zealand for a little bit, but he's back now. And again, every few days.
On GB News, though, isn't he?
He's on GB News, just not the Mail. The Mail aren't. So they're obviously thinking this could go tits up.
Well, in the chat, first of all, Mellow Maggot, thank you very much for the £1.50 super chat and the lovely rainbow. Damien Dastar is saying Ofcom is utterly toothless when it comes to GB News, and that's right.
I agree.
This is the fact that GB News is like, no, we're not news, we're an entertainment channel. They're fucking well called GB News.
The Select
Committee GB Entertainment.
Select Committee found that Jacob Rees-Mogg breached every one of the rules every day, every show, and nothing's been done.
Change it to like Britain's Got Talent, or Britain Hasn't Got Talent, or Britain's Got Twat Fucks or something.
Well, they even paid to give Nigel Farage a news award.
Yeah,
it's just like they're taking the piss. Like it was sponsored by GB News, because I saw them promoting it heavily on Twitter and for ages. Oh, vote for me. And I'm thinking, never heard of these awards. But then I'm not really into awards, maybe. And then I found out One of the sponsors was GB News. So I thought you've
Oh.
It's
and this
just
is quite common.
Is it just one? No, it is. No, you're right. Like establishments create award ceremonies to create credibility. Like I work in venues, and one of our old venues we sold to somebody else. Then they partnered up with a smaller company, created an award ceremony, and gave themselves Venue of the Year award. And I was like, what? You mad? But it is a common thing. People do it all the time.
I'm going to make my own awards. Should we do the See You Next Tuesday awards? See You Next Tuesday awards.
Best influencers, and we can all just
I'm a discourager. I'm not a fucking influencer.
You should have that on your business card, Tan. You should have
if I had a business card.
Supertanskiii Discourager.
Didn't you call yourself a binfluencer once? Or was that you, Aid?
That's me, yeah.
Influencer. A shout out to Johnny Copperhead, by the way. £5 super chat. Hooray! Tan's here. The sweariness factor will improve magnificently. Apparently, you haven't sworn yet. Oh, you just
bollocks.
That's bollocks, mate. But wouldn't.
They're trying to talk about Tan swearing. Fuck off.
Yeah, Danny.
Do you know who I am? Like,
don't you know who he thinks he is, man? Don't you know? That's my favourite line. Don't you know who I think I am, you wangers? But with Wootton, and that whole thing, the thing that interests me the most about it is what's omitted is just as relevant as what is broadcast or what is about in the papers. They're very clever with what they report, obviously, but they're also very clever with what they cover up.
Oh yeah.
And the silence on it, Bienkov did a piece about how most of the mainstream media have just been silent on this, and that's exactly how it fucking works. It's unless it's something that the government wants spun, people like the Tory graph, etc. I mean, the Times have done a bit of critical reporting, but only when it's got to the point where they have to. Otherwise, they're gonna look mad.
I think me, you, Tan, and Aid, we spoke about this before we did our last thing, and we spoke about how lots of publications and news outlets, it's what they don't report, and sort of how they miss loads of sort of really important stuff out of what the news article is and whatever. And they didn't my example was they didn't call fucking Jeremy Corbyn a commie or whatever, but they did put a big Photoshop picture of Jeremy Corbyn behind them next to a fucking Russian palace, looking like a Russian. Do you know what I mean? With a Russian hat. It's what they don't. It's what they don't say, but they definitely sort of insinuate and convey.
And also the stories they just skip over. They just literally just the absolute radio silence. I mean, most of what Johnson did wasn't reported properly in the main newspapers. Very little actually.
Just a big shout out to Alexander Campbell out here, who said it's just £5 super chat. Thank you. As someone who works in broadcasting, the Sun, etc., are office entities that should have to follow. That should have rules every employer and HR department follows. So why don't they?
Yeah, no, I think they do.
Why? What makes them so special?
They do. They all have to sit within the same parameters as every other business that operates in the UK. And this is one of my big bugbears about Brexit, is they live in a fantasy, a sort of unicorn Narnia, where they can make Britain into this low tax Singapore on Thames regime and treat these people like that and get rid of their maternity pay and all. But as soon as you start actually trying to put these ideas to paper, it all fucking falls to pieces. Because if banks and companies, corporations and stuff like that actually treated people in the way that these fucking fantasists would like them to, they'd get sued into oblivion.
Oh yeah.
And there's also the culture within those places. The private eye thing that I saw the other day about how apparently those that have kind of worked out which of them were set up by an alias have apparently put themselves in a group called Whacked Off. And they're they're basically the culture in this place. It's like the cuntiest people you could ever imagine in one room. That's what it's like there. I mean, they're laughing about it. They're laughing about the fact that they have essentially, possibly, allegedly, reportedly been conned by his alias to reveal videos of themselves wanking, and they're laughing about it. It's like,
oh god, it's so frustrating that it does feel like an absolute stitch up that is just happening right in front of us, and this is all it's felt like for the last 13 years: austerity, Brexit, the response to COVID. This all ties back to Cummings in the Garden saying that he was testing his eyes on his hour and a half bloody road trip down the Avo to Barnard Castle.
And I think like the main issue is there's never been any sort of consequences or accountability. And this is something I speak about this week, and it's like, how many inquiries have we had in the last how many years? Hundreds, like whatever. And it always goes the same way. The public think that there's something wrong because the government have done something, so we think it's dodgy. Then we demand an inquiry. The inquiry finds out that we're all right. It is dodgy after like a number of months. And then what? Do you know what I mean? It's always nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's always nothing. Nothing ever fucking happens.
This is why I was a big advocate of the milkshake campaign. It's like
throwing milkshakes at people.
Yeah.
Oh mate, I was in Newcastle on the day that Farage got the milkshake. I was there. I was on the road by the Graves Monument. And I was waiting for Farage, and someone else got him first.
I was looking at old videos of that when I was editing something for Marina a few weeks ago, and I was digging out old videos of that sort of period. And what I fucking love about the footage of that is that he's jovial, he's Faragian, like for a minute, and then the milkshake lands like all over his double breast, and the mask slips. He just immediately goes into this fiery bad mood, and then he has a go at his handler. He's like, "That was obvious. You could see that was about to." Like he's so punty to his handler.
You can see the milkshake.
It's like, well, it was obvious. What was gonna happen.
That's exactly like that. I mean, I think we should bring it back. I mean, I'm sad it died out, man. Like
fucking milkshakes for everyone.
I am inciting this, by the way. A lot of people would back down on that. I'm saying I am.
Shake of
Do
bash.
it, guys. Yeah.
Shake of bash. That's what we should call the campaign. But what you were saying about the
shake of bash.
What shake of bash, put the freshness back. What you were saying about the inquiries, the reason why nothing happens is because they decide what the 9 times they decide how they handle it or whether or not they respond to it. There's no like, we need some kind of written constitution because our system isn't set up for people that are as bad as Johnson or as bad as this lot. Like it's so easily, people haven't been brazen before. So it's really easy for them to do that. But
Phil was talking earlier today about the lack of. Phil, were you talking about the text messages? You did a video about it. About Johnson's text messages,
things,
the WhatsApp messages, and the way that they've used the term messages rather than communications.
Absolutely, no, it's going on for ages. This, I mean, what happened was at the start of the year, the Cabinet Office said to Boris Johnson, "Can we have your phone because it seems to be government property?" And he said no, and they went, "Oh." So then months later, Baroness Hallett says, "Can I have the phone?" And Rishi Sunak says, "No." And so he says, "Well, I want the fucking phone." And Rishi Sunak says, "Look, I'll give you all relevant documents." He says, "I'll decide what's relevant. I'm the pissing judge here." And so, they went to court, and the High Court basically told Rishi Sunak, she's the judge, give her the stuff. And so now we're in the position where Boris Johnson then goes, yes, there seems to be experts. The experts say they can get the data. Unfortunately, I've forgotten my password.
He lost his password.
That is a shame. Yeah. And then the Cabinet Office, we'll just have a look because it's government thing. "Oh, we found a copy of the passcode." Boris Johnson went, "Oh, jolly good. Oh, yes, we've got the passcode, so there's no problem now." Now, as far as I know, nothing's been handed over yet.
No, he's handed over his phone.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. No, he hasn't handed over the phone. He's handed over some documents from the phone.
What? I was told that he was handed over his phone.
No,
it was reported as he handed over the phone.
Well, it was. All I've seen is the relevant messages. Relevant messages, which first of all, what's a pissing message? And second of all, what the relevant thing, the judge was already telling his son, "I will decide what's relevant." So why the hell does Boris Johnson, who's no longer even a member of the government, decide what's relevant?
Oh, he's such a piss taker.
So he hasn't handed over his phone.
The phone, as far as I know, is still with his lawyers.
And the reason because it might have sensitive comments.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it's got WhatsApp messages to Sergei in Moscow, but nonetheless.
Or his violinist.
And a promise to his daughter that he's going to give her a peerage.
But nonetheless, it should not be for Boris Johnson to decide First of all, never mind message, government records, everything on that phone. If that phone was being used for government purposes, it's government property. Hand it over.
Yeah. It's like Trump stored the boxes in his blood.
Yeah. So I don't understand why
is...
we're letting him get away with this box. And I know why we're letting him get, because the Cabinet Office could have busted his door down and taken his phone, right, or his lawyer's door. Don't matter. The government could easily have got a warrant.
Oh,
yeah, we're having the
so
phone.
dodgy.
But Rishi Sunak does not want those messages.
Oh yeah, he could have
more than Boris Johnson.
Sunak could have definitely issued a court order, but like he could.
Proving to be quite the dodgy little bastard, isn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what though? As well, this is exactly what they went on and on and on about locking Hillary Clinton up about. It was mixing personal messages with professional government business.
Yeah.
And Priti Patel got fired for that too, right?
That was Swella Braverman. That was Swella Braverman.
Swella Braverman, sorry, yeah.
Oh no, Priti Patel had her own.
And he's saying, we need to check these messages for the ones that aren't relevant because they were just, having a chat. How can any message on a government phone not be relevant to an inquiry into the biggest pandemic we've ever seen?
You should see my Slack messages at work. I mean,
yeah, but if you had to hand them all over, it wouldn't be up to you. Something happened.
Plus, they shouldn't have been conducting government via fucking WhatsApp.
Well, no,
this is a big thing. It's like it wouldn't take a team of technologists like a month, maybe 2 months max, to spin up an instant messaging platform that you could use solely for government. Like, why does it have to be WhatsApp? Can't it just be, your own proprietary thing? In fact, it fucking should be. Like if it's the state, if there's secrets. You don't want hackers who learn how to hack WhatsApp or something knowing how to get into the proprietary shit.
Well, the government are trying to force. I mean, we're not going to have WhatsApp very soon because the government are trying to legislate to force them to make it easy to hack.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because we want to hack WhatsApp. I'm sure there'll be no other hackers getting involved, and you can trust us. And WhatsApp have basically said, "Yeah, we just won't operate in the
UK." Someone just needs to tie the Tories down, right, to a chair, just strap them down, and forcibly
just fucking knife them.
See, at the moment, is that what you're saying? Tory MPs will like this.
No.
This would be appealing to a lot of Tory MPs at the moment.
I'll incite a
business
milkshake,
in
but we're not
this.
going to go that far. No, I was going to say somebody needs to tie them down to a chair and fucking force teach them the fucking internet. Like if you ban WhatsApp, if you force these companies to open up WhatsApp, all that's going to happen is that people are going to go, or if they ban WhatsApp or like completely, all that's going to happen is another app will spring up that will become just as popular that also embraces encryption.
They know how it works. They don't give a fuck. They're just trying.
Doesn't Telegram already do the same?
Well,
I think Telegram is maybe.
It's
Am I
encrypted.
talking at my ass if I say it's even more private? It's definitely.
I think Telegram is more private than WhatsApp.
But the thing is with WhatsApp is anyone who's in the group gets the message. So they had these mad WhatsApp groups, and people were getting messages about things that had nothing to do with their department. They shouldn't have been getting those messages. Yeah. And this is a security breach. Like again, it is something they would never let a Labour government get away with.
The thing is,
the media, the judiciary, the police, they wouldn't let Labour have a party every night in number 10 while the rest of us were locked down. Could you imagine?
Look what happens though every time there's a bit of friction in the Tory party. They all the MPs have their own WhatsApp groups, and as soon as there's any little argument, there's even been times where someone in the WhatsApp message has said, "I hope no one leaks this," and it's in the Daily Mail later that night.
Exactly. And also, you've got WhatsApp Web, so someone just pointed out you can just open a window on your browser.
Yeah.
And if you've got a connection with the phone, all of the messages appear on your screen.
Well, that's how I do it.
That's
I
right,
don't like phones.
Everything
I do from through the computer.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not very secure.
No.
Especially given the fact that Boris Johnson's phone number was available to anyone who had.
It was on the internet for years, right?
Popbitch gave out his number and said that's why he had to change his number in 2021.
It's just it's just fucking embarrassing. The sort of they need to learn how to fucking use technology because they're all fucking dumb as shit.
No, they just don't give a fuck. They're just trying to, get out of shit, aren't they?
Even the ones that aren't dumb play dumb. And so then the effect is still the same. Like, so you'll have the ones who are dumb, who don't know any of this stuff, and then you'll have the ones like Michael Gove.
Or that guy that was fucking looking at tractor porn in the middle of the fucking House of Commons. How much does he not know how to use a phone? Like,
Boris Johnson had like 4 or 5 iPads on his desk because he didn't know how to log back into Zoom. So if the Zoom call dropped, he could pick up the next iPad and use that. And then if that dropped, he'd pick up the next one.
I thought that might be for one of each of his children.
But this is after.
Short though, wouldn't he?
This is after the IT lessons, right? Bear that in mind as well.
Yeah,
This is after
£126,000
of taxpayers' money on IT lessons from Jennifer O'Corvey.
They didn't go on IT lessons.
No,
what do you think? What do you think they were doing? I assumed they were learning computers and things.
It involves sacks of custard.
Yeah, she described having sex with him like having a bin bag filled with custard or something all over you.
Oh my God.
I would honestly think myself.
Genuine shudder.
Like a fucking dirty, fucking muddy trifle.
Like a dirty honey monster, like a shitty honey monster down on you. Fucking hell.
A honey monster, but he's a sex offender.
And he's being fed Viagra.
The fella must don't understand it.
Before you came on, Tan, we were just talking about Charlotte Owen and who she is and whether she's Boris Johnson's daughter or whether she's Boris Johnson's bit on the side of the bit on the side of the bit on the side.
Either way, it involves sex, probably, doesn't it? I don't know. I've heard rumours that she was banging some other MP, but I'm not going to say who, or that it's true because I don't know. Are we all going out for full libel tonight?
Well, Dan Wotton, Charlotte Owen. The thing is, if there is a super injunction, how do we find out there's a super injunction? Because you can't talk about the super injunction.
We're not subjected to it. We're not in the media. We're not journalists. I mean, we can get sued to fuck, but we don't have to abide by a super injunction. Do we? I don't think we do.
What makes me think it's not a super injunction is I think by now somebody in France or Italy or Japan would have talked about it, and we
care about us. We're just the weird mad island that like everyone is just given up on itself. They don't care about.
But like somebody would be hungry for the views. Somebody would be like, oh, if I post this, somebody in the UK will be searching. Do you know what I mean?
So pedantic peasants just brought back a weird memory from. It's just said tubby custard there. Now I was too old for Teletubbies, but apparently, so when I was young, apparently one of them, I don't know which one.
Oh, one of them was an MP.
No. I mean, one of them,
one of them, the Teletubbies was an MP.
It might well have been. That's not what it is though. But one of them, his chat-up line would be, "Would you like some Teletubby custard?"
Wow.
Oh.
And that's exactly why I used to call Johnson Tubby Custard. It was multifaceted as an insult, but a part of it was even before I knew that she talked about him. Banging him was like, shagging custard. I didn't even know about that.
I met one of the Teletubbies. I was on Richard Osman's House of Games a couple of years ago. We filmed it up in Scotland, and in the audience were like 4 people who could help with like getting an answer. And I was like the travel question, and we had a Teletubby. We had someone who worked on a Mars rover. And we had the world's first test tube baby, who's now not a baby because she's like 50.
What kind of mad setup was this?
It was, and he was just like, so yeah, he's like, I'm a Teletubby. You're a Teletubby, and he actually looked like he could be a Teletubby, which was the funniest bit of it all. Yeah,
I wish Danny was right and one was an MP. It's fucking hilarious.
Could you imagine? Who was the MP who used to go out with one of the cheeky girls? Do you remember that?
Oh, fuck.
Lembit, Olbic or something.
I can't remember. Was it Conservative? Was it a Lib Dem or a Conservative?
He was a Lib Dem, wasn't he? Whatever happened to him?
Lembit something was.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him? Someone find out and let us know in the chat.
He died punching above his weight, I think, probably.
Lembit Olpic. Who the fuck is that guy? Yeah.
Mr. Cheeky.
Mr. Cheeky.
He's a cheeky boy.
The chicken boy. I don't know. Like I forgot that even fucking happened. That was back when that was the maddest thing to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to get any more mad than this.
Like this is the ceiling. No one's getting past this fucking ceiling.
Oh, don't say that.
Gonna smash through this shit.
We haven't seen next week yet.
Oh God, it just gets worse, doesn't it?
What's happening next week? What have we got on the agenda for next week?
Who knows? God knows.
There's probably a fucking another secret baby. I reckon Boris is gonna have another secret baby soon.
That's all.
With fucking I don't know, Pretty Patel or something. Fuck knows.
Nigel Farage ain't gonna be happy till Nat West's gone. I'm gonna need to get a new bank account myself at this rate.
Oh, somebody else resigned today, right?
Yeah, the executive of Coates or something.
Yeah.
So there's still the chair of NatWest who Rishi Sunak has refused to back, so he's presumably out tomorrow.
And have you heard
it's
fucking
Farage. How has Farage got this much power?
It's fucking insane that fucking Rishi Sunak is out here fucking doing graft for Nigel Farage when fucking Nigel Farage fucking openly said that he would never live next door to a fucking Indian. It's fucking insane.
But it's not even doing himself any good politically. This is a problem for Rishi Sunak. It's like destabilising a pissing bank. It's like, how much economic damage is he trying to cause?
And I think like the other thing as well is like that we see all the front pages and it's like, oh, Nigel Farage is like fucking not allowed to bank because of his views, but nobody's talking about his actual fucking views. Like, come on, nobody's saying like, you know, because if you just to say how it wasn't like this fucking racist con man, financially dodgy fucking dickhead has been like, the bank doesn't want to, the private bank doesn't want to do work with him, do business with him. But like, there wouldn't be an issue. But for some reason, what's that?
Banked. He's not being regular bank. Still giving him accounts.
Exactly. But for some reason, it's like it's turned into a discrimination thing against Farage, which I find so fucking ironic.
I know why.
He's always a victim.
The Telegraph kind of suggested that, well, they were talking last night about how the GB News owners cashed in by short.
They made 5 million.
That's always how it fucking happens. How it happens with the people that Jacob Rees-Mogg lobbies for on behalf of Crispin O'Dea, like fossil fuel industry. Like he's a big player in the fossil fuel industry, O'Dea. You know, married to Murdoch's daughter, made 220 million in the aftermath of Brexit by betting against the country, and they call themselves fucking patriots. It's like, no, like
how do we have hedge funds? I mean, like companies that set themselves up to make money out of other companies failing. So, like that is disaster capitalism 101 right there.
Would you like to hear the devil's advocate case for
go on, Age. You explain it to us, mate. Go on.
So I know a hedge fund guy from back in my hometown. He's a lot more like rah than I am, obviously. He's a privately educated city guy. Anyway, I had him on my
list. Is he famous? Could I put him on my list?
No, he's not famous. He's one of my first guests on the podcast when I was just sort of trying to get people who were in finance or people who were in education or like, you know, academics, like people, thought leaders, if you like. And I asked him outright, I was just like, you know, hedge funds have a really shitty reputation. It's like you bet on the bad shit, ruin companies, you spook investors, they all pull their money out, and then actually your prophecy sends what could have been an okay functioning business with a couple of problems down the fucking plug hole. So like, how do you respond to that? And he was like, hedge funds actually, in his mind, not my mind, I'm just saying the way he sees it, he's like, hedge funds are quality control. Like if you've got a company that has undisclosed problems, and our analysts go in there and we see that there's something dodgy, we will publish our findings and what we're investing in or against.
Yeah, they're all in it for the morals, aren't they?
So basically, they are quality control in the same way that lions are quality control for gazelles. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't live in that world. We should live in a world where we help each other out. We see a company struggling and we help them. We don't go, oh, wow, let's make loads of money out of these fuckers.
Yeah. This is the thing I wish that I'd said to him afterwards. It's like, that is the job of regulators. That's the job of the state to step in and go, you guys are dodgy and you need to get this stuff above board and keep this amount of money in your savings so that you can like suffer a wave when there's a net crash. But I think in his mind, he was like, why not make some cash out of it? You know?
There's going to be the same arguments used next year because there's a load of businesses who, I mean, there's, like anything, there's a load of businesses that make stupid amounts of money, some that make enough. There are some that are really struggling and have obviously struggled a lot with extra costs of things very recently. And they've only really been getting by on like business loans and things. Well, the interest rates are going really high. So there's a load of businesses going to go to the wall next year. And they'll say the same thing. These conservatives, they'll come out with the same thing. Well, they were weak businesses, weren't they? Even if they were basically screwed over by the pandemic and weren't given the support they needed. And the only reason they've gone under is because to get themselves through it, they needed business loans that the government encouraged them to get anyway. And now the interest rates on them have gone sky high.
Yeah.
Other
Exactly.
countries gave like actual money to businesses and to people. They were like, we're going to help you through this. We're not going to leave anyone behind. Here's some cash. We were like, yeah, we're going to do what we can. We're going to give you loans. And there's like 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 businesses out there who are like, well, I don't want to go under. I guess I better take this fucking loan.
Yeah.
And you're right. Now they're just in the eye of the storm. And everyone's talking about like, oh, what's going on with Farage's bank? Or even Dan Wootton.
Those loans were private loans from like HSBC, the bounce back loans for like £50,000 a pop. And essentially, they're backed by the government. Now, if they'd done due diligence on those loans, if they'd been normal HSBC loans for £50,000, they would have wanted to know how long your business had been trading, what the turnover was. They would be, they want to see a copy of your passport. They didn't do any of that. It was as simple as going on a website, filling out a form, and they gave you £50,000. And they didn't even bother to check if your company had been in existence before that morning.
Or if there was other countries when they were providing business support, made sure that at least your investments were in that country. Whereas ours, you conduct all your business from the Cayman Islands. Well, I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah,
they did nothing.
And this is why they've written off billions of pounds, which just con men took.
Yeah,
and that's gone now. Just a shout out to Johnny Copperhead before we go on. It's a Tory kleptocracy, he says in capital letters. That's a £2 super chat. Thank you very much. And also Maggie Pie wants to know if I've put Brexiteer Dickheadson on my list. I don't know if anyone actually christened their child Brexiteer Dickheadson, but I'd love it if they did.
Who's that?
I don't know. There's a lot of Brexiteers on my list. So today, I said this to Tan. I was chatting to her this week. I say every single day of my life for the last 2 years now, I have woken up and I have read something that someone's done that's obnoxious, or seen someone's tweeted that's horrible, and then I've looked up where they went to school, and it's 99 times out of 100 they went to a private school, and I add them to the private school mafia list. So today it was that guy who made the 5 million.
Paul Marshall,
yeah. And it's honestly, it's every freaking day. It's painful. It really is, because it's like, okay, so not only do they run everything, they're like horrible. Like something bad that happens each day comes from these people. Trying to up the wall. Anyway, I think the commenters know that I go on about this a bit too much. So let's go back to what we were talking about. Tory corruption. And we haven't even mentioned the £1 billion of war profiteering that British Gas have made this week. Sorry, not this week. In the first 6 months of the year. That's not even a year's profit. That is in the first 6 months, £1 billion. It was 900.
It's because the government gave them that money instead of, according to the BBC, £500 million was directly related to the price cap going up. Now, what the government should have done is to say to the oil and gas companies, look, there's been a reordering of international supply chains. So supply and demand's kicked in, your prices are going up. But you haven't done anything for that money. You haven't worked hard. You haven't extracted any more. You're just taking advantage.
Yeah.
So you can either keep your prices down, which they never would have done, or we will just say, look, you can make the profits that your business model said you should be, because they post that, they post that for their shareholders. We know what their business plan is. Okay, you expected to make this much money. We will just take, didn't have to be all of it, the bulk of the rest. And then what you would say to the energy companies is, right, no, energy prices aren't going up that much, maybe a few percent like in France, but they're not going up that, we're not doubling them. What we will do, and they would go, oh, but the wholesale cost of gas has gone up. Okay, so we will compensate you for the increase in the wholesale price of gas, because we've also got your business model. You carry on making the same profit. We will compensate you for your extra expenses. That way, energy prices stay the same. And do you know what runs off this as well? It's not just that it made a lot of people poorer. It made businesses go under because their energy prices didn't double. They went up by 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
But what has it done? It's put up inflation. What's Rishi Sunak whining about every pissing day? Inflation. Well, do you know what would make inflation go down? If energy prices were half the level like they used to be. And the other thing is, like, everything that stems from it, because if we hadn't stoked inflation with your doubling of the energy prices. You wouldn't have had to jack up interest rates. So you wouldn't be pissing off your own voters as well as putting a load of other businesses in danger. All of this just because he didn't want to put a windfall tax on Shell when the CEO of Shell was saying we probably should pay more tax.
They were.
Oh yeah, you said that.
They were offering it. They were like, "Look, we've had enough of all the strippers and the coke. We want to give some money away. Please."
They had more money than they could, more money than they knew what to do with. They said front page. Fucking madness.
Tax us a bit more. And the government was like, no, we want to.
Because we got some people with some fucking shares. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and also they just love to see poor people die. It's like the Tories' like ultimate fantasy, isn't it? Just like that's what keeps them going, I think. You know.
Do you think that it's like a Truman Show sort of thing? They got loads of CCTV everywhere, and they're just watching people suffer. Like,
man,
they're just in there, like in fucking Downing Street or whatever. And it's like, look at this.
I think they're also just ideologically drunk, aren't they? They don't like the idea of the state stepping in and throwing a fishnet around 30 billion of profit or whatever, and going, "Oh yeah, we'll have that." I think they think that looks erratic to the rest of the world, but they're like, other countries fucking do this, so they survive fine. Their currencies don't dive. Investors don't abandon the country. It's just in this country that we seem to live in this paranoid state where Britain is fucking amazing and simultaneously, we're so shit that everyone will fucking run away.
It's like this victim complex. Like that's what you've seen with Farage this week. He's got a victim complex. Even though he's rich, he's powerful, he's got millions in the bank.
Rich enough though, is he? Not rich enough for a
never be
account.
rich enough, can they?
I mean, like, I don't think
Rishi Sunak's talking about like wanting to make the UK an exciting place to invest. Well, the last thing you would want to invest in, particularly if you're an energy intensive company, you don't want to invest in a country where the commercial energy rates are sky high and where you're simultaneously, deliberately, it's stated government policy to squeeze people's disposable incomes. We need to bring inflation down. The way we do that is to take away your disposable income. So if you're a company and you're looking at Britain and you go, well, they've got sky high energy costs and the government deliberately stopped the local population being able to buy my products. How's that going to how's it going to appeal to me as an investor?
It doesn't make any sense.
Every angle you go around a little bit more this thing and you look at it from another angle, you say, no, it's batshit crazy there. It's batshit crazy there. Everywhere you look at it, it's all just stupid.
It's one of the cruel sort of paradoxical ironies of Brexit Britain is that what they actually want us to be is this sort of global beacon of independence and sovereignty. And actually, where we're at,
like we're laughing stock.
People
are laughing.
I was saying, New Zealand and Australia, they pissed themselves.
Yeah, the Australians were laughing at our trade deal, but having gone around Europe quite a lot since the Brexit vote, people look on you with pity. They're like, "I'm so sorry." It's like someone's died. Do you know what I mean? It's been a death in the family.
People are starting to look at us like we're Americans. Like, that's what it is. Like, that's what it is. And it's like
we are the Americans of Europe.
Quite ironic because they are our obnoxious cousins. I like to say. Do you know what I mean?
No, we are also the obnoxious cousins.
But like I was saying, sorry, were you going to say?
I was just going to jump in with a couple of super chats that came in a while ago, so I better say hello to them. Pedantic Peasant put in £5, saying 3 more suicidal people were pulled off the bridge near me this week. The human cost of our government's mismanagement. Where's the hope? Which that's a powerful message, and you're right. It is looking. Yeah, my hope is that these bastards who are in charge of this country at the moment will be out on their ear within a year or so. And then hopefully we can bring them to justice for what they've done.
Oh, I hope they do, because mental health is such a hidden thing too, and it's such a private thing. I mean, these people are just slipping away through the net.
And Tories have cut the funding. Tories have massively cut the funding. They cut the funding for child bereavement services. That's what the Tories did under austerity.
And suicide prevention recently, in one of the places where it's actually the highest, they cut funding. Samaritans released the figures about, I think it's about 6-7 weeks ago, where they're also stopping the police from attending urgent mental health calls, when the only reason the police are attending urgent mental health calls is because there's no fucking ambulances or mental health services. So it's it's an absolute fucking disgrace. Like, yeah, these people are just dying and slipping under the radar. And to the government, I honestly think that what they see it as is, oh, well, one less person for us to have to take care of. That's how I genuinely think the Tories see it. Because that's
there's a comment that's just come in saying a lot of people can't wait a year, and you're absolutely right, they can't. What can we do? We live in a democracy, and unfortunately, a large part of our country are fucking arseholes.
The irony,
they're horrible people.
Is almost certainly the Tories would want to go to the polls this autumn, and the thing that will stop them, because everything's going to get worse. Like the Conservative part, the strategists wanted to go to the polls in 2022, and they couldn't because Boris Johnson had flushed their popularity down the toilet. And it's the same thing now. They knew that Brexit, never mind anything else, before we even knew that Putin was going to go insane, they knew that the economy was just going to get worse and worse. So they wanted to go to the polls quickly, get another win, and then go for another 5 years. But they couldn't do that because Labour are in a winning position. Now they can't do it. They know that it's pure. They've got this landing zone next May where they're thinking, fairly moderate strategies, not necessarily the ones with Rishi Sunak's ears, are thinking, look, inflation will be down next May, but it might be before the recession we're definitely going to cause or likely to cause. That might be the sweet spot. The reason they can't go this autumn is because at the moment they're polling to go down to 100 seats. Well, obviously you can't go to a general election when you're going to lose basically all your MPs. And that'll be the thing. The thing that will cause, if there isn't a general election next summer, the thing that will cause it to be rolled on even longer will be, ironically, if the polls are still dead set against the Tories, because it'll be like, if you're trying to aim for that good spot, no one thinks winning 100 seats is a good spot. So,
but I don't think there is a good spot for them.
There isn't.
From now.
No,
Ever. I don't think that. I think. I know this is quite fucking bad, but I wouldn't put it past them. And I know that it's probably thinking a bit wild. That they would put it off even longer than October for some fucking fabricated reason or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Some fear-mongering bollocks.
Well, the Tory MPs don't want to lose their seat. And if you're telling 250 of them, yes, kiss goodbye to your seats,
you're gonna go.
They're not going to go along with that. So, they're, at the moment they're trapped. They'd probably like to go to the polls as soon as possible, but only a madman would go to the polls when it looks like you're going to get the sort of spanking that polls would suggest they are.
They're not saying
Jeremy Corbyn.
They're never not going to get a spanking from them. After everything they've done in the last 3 years alone, they're not going to not get a spanking now. Do you know what I mean?
But they're hoping for being beaten to 200 seats. That's what they're hoping for. They're hoping to get themselves in a position where they get away with 200 seats.
Absolute chances, man.
Yeah,
I've got a few more super chats.
That's exactly what it is.
Sorry to jump in. And we're going to get criticism in the comments here for talking about the super chats, but you've got to say thank you. Maggie Pye put 20 Swedish krona in there. By Brexiteer Dickheadson, I meant Bruce Dickinson. So obviously, Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer of Iron Maiden, apparently went to a private school called Oodles or something.
Oodles?
So I've added him to the list. The website's been updated. PrivateSchoolMafia.com.
Oh, well, actually, fuck it. I know his son, and he's a fucking dick.
Like father, like son.
He's a fucking
there you go.
Dickhead. Yeah.
And then I got a message from Johnny Copperhead here, £5 super chat. Thank you. I'm so glad the Tories are good at business and economics, or we'll be in trouble. Dripping with sarcasm there.
Wrong in that.
And Reagan Elite, thank you very much. £2 super chat from Reagan, saying mental health is real. We need to talk about it. And you're absolutely right. And it is something that the Tories have not just not invested in, not just cut funding to, but actively ridicule. Brendan Clark Smith responded to Tan's tweet the other day.
He fucking regretted it though, didn't he?
Yeah, basically saying, Tan's tweet was like, "Oh, thank you to the Samaritans, they're really lovely."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, fuck you." It was just
fucking dick.
But the guy that I spoke to at the Samaritans told me that the reason that they're really struggling to cope, one of the big reasons they're really struggling to cope, is because of government cuts to services. I had to have my counselling that I had a while back, I had therapy, I had to have that through a charity. And that charity told me that they were struggling because they're having to pick up the slack of, a lack of government funding.
Yeah.
So yeah,
what happened under Theresa May, I remember, is she took a load of money away from social services, made that pot of money smaller, then gave it to the NHS and said, by the way, you're dealing with all this now.
Mm.
And that was Theresa May. We look back fondly on her now.
Yeah.
fucking don't. With
And I think it's such a shame because, like, in the last number of years, like, mental health has been spoken about a lot, and the stigma for us, for normal people, is being removed. Like, you know, like, men didn't like to talk about mental health, like, at all. I had a mental fucking breakdown in 2018 because I wouldn't talk about my mental health, and like, a lot of guys are so open about it right now, but yet there aren't any. The ways of the people can get help, like, they're not there anymore.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's fucked.
Yeah, there's no like apparatus. Sorry, Dan,
there's no.
No, I was going to say, like, just the same, like, as what Danny was saying. There's nowhere to send them to. It's like, oh, talk about it.
It's like, good, yeah, you're talking about it, but
what do we do now?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
now that you've opened up, and it can take people years to open up, and then they've got what? They're going to be stuck like I was once. Great that you're being open about it. When I had a mental health crisis once, I was told that if I hadn't got lucky with a cancellation, that I'd have been sitting waiting for an emergency assessment for a year on a waiting list. An emergency assessment.
Like, imagine. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, and like, when I actually went to that assessment, I was laughed at by a mental health nurse because I said I'd just like someone to talk to that day, and she was like, "You're not getting that."
It's like, it's so mad because, like, imagine getting over being able to talk about it and be like, yeah, I'm finally gonna fucking talk to somebody about it, and then, like, then you've got to join this queue of, like, fucking months or even years to wait.
The way I like it
takes two. Sorry, Phil, go on.
I was going to say, you're liking it to a physical problem. It's a bit like if someone's got multiple fracture of their leg, and they say, I've got a broken leg. Oh, well done for opening up. Well, what are you going to do about it? Oh, we're just going to leave it there.
Just get in the queue line.
Just trying to imagine, because people don't understand that mental health is it's still a health problem, and it still needs treating. That you don't treat it by just saying to someone, cheer up.
Open up. Like, it's good to open up and talk. I'm not like ridiculing that, but it's like, yeah, you're right. You got to. It starts with that, and then let's get you into treatment. Let's have.
Yes, you need treatment for serious illnesses. You can self-heal a physical or mental illness to a certain extent, and then there are ones that are serious and do not get fixed.
It's currently taking 2 years to get on average to get a diagnosis of autism for children. And so you could be in school for 2 years or longer, being treated, not being treated in the wrong way. Let's just say not
being. I know what you're trying to say, like,
not having adjustments made.
Not having adjustments made. Tan, that's exactly what I want to say.
Because then they get treated differently, and that affects their longevity of their lives and how they learn and how they educate, and that's fucked.
Exactly, and it's 2 years, which is an eternity for a child.
That's a kid,
and the amount of damage that having to wait that long for that diagnosis is doing to those children. Craig Wood in the super chat in the chat there, he dropped in a £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Craig. Suicides go up 45,000 when unemployment goes up 1%. Wow. And that's how it's all linked. It is like the economy is linked with our mental health, whether we like it or not. And having these people in charge that don't care about the economy, they don't care about your mental health, they don't care about you, they don't care about me, they don't care about anyone watching this. And it's so infuriating. And one of the things that I am feeling a little hopeful for is that Labour have made statements already to say we are going to focus on mental health when we're in power.
They've got good policy on that. They have got good policy on that.
And like, they better bloody had to. Well, we're going to hold their feet to the fire, aren't we, Tan?
Of course
we are. The thing is, it makes economic sense, like you've just said anyway, because at the end of the day, there's a moral case for healthcare, but it's ultimately an economic case. If you've got someone who's suffering from any form of illness, they're not fully productive. And the longer it takes to get treatment, first of all, the longer they're not fully productive, but also the lower the chance of becoming fully recovered and therefore fully productive again. So there's a cold-hearted way of looking at it as well, which still requires properly funded healthcare.
And we pay for properly funded healthcare. Don't fucking get it. That's the problem.
This is what's so infuriating about it. Is like it's as you've pointed out there very eloquently. It's like it's economically sensible. So if you claim to be the party of fiscal responsibility and the natural party of government, you should fucking care about this stuff. Like when people are struggling, give them a hand, get them back on their feet, get them back out to work. That should be definitely within your arena. But the fact that they don't do that, in fact, they actively sabotage that apparatus, suggests that actually what this is like a cold-hearted, ideological, like mean-spirited drive to make other people feel worse so you can feel better about yourself.
That's what it looks like, isn't it? That's what it looks like, judging by the severe. I mean, it's just when you look across the board when it comes to the economy, everything we've been discussing, it comes down to just absolute negligence, corruption, or ineptitude, doesn't it? It's one of those three, or all of them combined, that's causing this. Because all they have to do is just do their jobs and govern well.
Yeah.
And get elected. Just do your fucking job that you're paid to do. But they're incapable or unwilling, or both simultaneously. I just don't know what's going on.
I think psychologically they like being these sort of like posh, a lot of the time privately educated, upper middle class types who look down on the plebs. I honestly think it's as simple as that.
I think they just want I think they just want fucking money. I think they just want to just fucking get as much money. They
never have enough money.
Can.
That's what it is. They hog all the top jobs.
Yeah, that's it.
Someone in the chat says you hate all private school people. I do not. If you go to privateschoolmafia.com, it says at the top, disclaimer, this is not intended as a list of awful people. Some very good friends of mine were privately educated. So were some of my all-time heroes, people like Rick Mail, Amano Iannucci, and Philip Pullman, to name a few. The point isn't that they're all bad. It's just that all the bad people who have risen above their station in life, and by that I mean their abilities in life, all went to private school. Every single one of them. If they are completely useless and they got that far, generally it's 100%, with the notable exception of Liz Truss. And she's the exception that proves the rule.
The woman has got the magic roundabout theme playing in her stupid.
Indeed. Now, listen, I'm just going to put into the chat a link, and I wouldn't normally do this, but in the chat, there's a lot of people talking about their own mental health issues and difficulty in, getting any help or whatever. I'm going to put the Discord link in the chat. It's there now. It's normally only open to people who are patrons or members, but this is open now for the next half an hour to anyone who wants to join the Labour Social Discord. And we're going to be doing stuff on there where we can talk to each other and have these kind of conversations if that's what you want to do. So please join it because if you do need someone to reach out to and talk to, we're going to try and use that forum a lot more in the coming months.
I need to what we'll do also is if anyone's been particularly affected by it, we need to just pop out the Samaritans. I always forget it. It's the most simple number in the world.
Well, I can put in like the email addresses for them in Britain and Ireland.
This is open 24 hours a day, and it's 116123. If you want to pop that in the chat, Graham, just so people have got a reference, because it can be really difficult talking about it. And then just feeling like you've got nothing. That's why I think it's really important to look after your mates and look out for your mates in this last year of hell, because there's not much support in the on the NHS. Also, there's things like charities like Calm, which is the campaign against living miserably. I think a lot of men, I think that was set up, originally for men and the Samaritans. But we're going to have to help our mates out and check on your quiet friends and talk to them and do what you can to help them out. And, even if it means offering going to the doctors with them, because sometimes you just need someone to go with you because you haven't got the energy to fight for, some treatment or something. So, we've all got to look out for each other because it's going to be a hard year this coming year. It is.
And whenever this sort of thing happens, I mean, Sinead O'Connor's gone, and I felt the same way when Robin Williams died. Just like, why wasn't someone there? Yeah. And obviously, you can't. If they push people away, if they shut themselves off to everyone else, there's nothing you can do. But it's always that question of like, surely someone must have been able to just knock on the door.
People, when you get into that frame of mind, like you go into tunnel vision, your brain actually shuts down to the point where it actually cannot see hope. Like, it's an actual scientific thing. Your scope of things getting better just completely diminish. People become secretive. They kind of hide it away. But I saw a really good tweet about Sinead O'Connor that said some of her last tweets that she put out was about her son who took his own life. And he said what she'd want is probably not people to share, you know, her in the nothing compares to you era. They'd want people to look into and question Irish mental health services, which are on their knees, which I think is a really good point to make. That she'd want people to talk about why that's in such a state and try and do something to sort it out. And I think that's true, because her son was in the care of the Irish authorities in terms of mental health. He escaped. He was able to escape from a hospital, and then he was found afterwards. So I think that's an important point to make in terms of the legacy of people that have succumbed to suicide.
Yeah, and it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about, but the way that the people in charge of this country have gone about things for the last 13 years, it's like they are willing us off the cliff. It's like they just don't want us to exist.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of shit that, I mean, look, the amount of shit I get online is nothing compared to the amount of shit that Tan gets or other female commentators. And all they want you to do is shut up and go away. That's all they want you to do.
Platform. Yeah, that's what they want to do. It's pretty grim, but I'm like, I run on just pure spite now. I'm like, I'm not letting those little fuckers stop me. I'm just running on pure fucking spite. And also it helps in a way because it's been so severe that most things don't impact me now. So I'm pretty fearless most of the time. But yeah, it's pretty bad that they do that. But in terms of trying to push people off the cliff, I agree 100%. And when the mental health services were so bad, when I needed urgent care, that again I survived out of spite for the government. And then not long after I started making political content, but it was like, I'm not gonna let you fuckers beat me. I'm gonna get through this and I'm gonna try and fuck you up. But yeah, that's the kind of view that I have. But I think that the way they treat the disabled people, the way they treat disabled people, the way they treat any form of vulnerable community, the way they treat the trans community, the way they treat the LGBT community, the way that they're bringing back
any vulnerable community. I mean, you look at refugees, trans people. Like you're talking about, when you talk about trans people, they are a group of people who are the most likely of any cohort in society to idealize suicide and actually carry it out.
Yeah,
and that should make everyone take a step back and say, whoa. Let's not be too critical here, because we don't want to drive anyone to that. And yet, there were like literally thousands, possibly millions of people out there who are just like, oh, do you know what? It'll be one less person that I dislike for no reason.
It's fucking wild.
And
the problem is they're also the most at risk of hate crimes and violence and domestic abuse, and like one of the most vulnerable communities to that. And this government is actively increasing hate crimes in our communities.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, look at the fucking language they use. Do you know what I mean? Look at the language they use. What was that in that House of Commons? They're having jokes about fucking women having penises and whatever. And it's like, you've got the state of everything anyway, and then you've got these communities that are the most targeted, the most fucking hated, and you're making jokes about that in the fucking House of Commons. You fucking mad. It's also like when Boris Johnson started saying shit about fucking letterboxes, and then the crimes against Muslim people went up by 40% or whatever it was. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. They're like, you know, giants fighting in a playground or something. They don't care who they stand on. Do you know what I mean? They don't care. They do this stuff and they have no idea how much damage they cause, even by just.
I think they do have
their words,
idea.
their
I think
actions.
They do have an idea of what damage they cause, and I think they don't fucking care.
I think probably, you know, when you look at it, I mean, Parliament itself is known for being a fairly toxic atmosphere. I imagine the Conservative benches in particular are fairly toxic. And I think it probably, to last any time there, it probably attracts a much greater proportion than normal of people who just lack empathy. So I don't think they do understand. I don't think they care. You even look at the way they treat each other. It's not even fortress mentality. As soon as they decide that one of their own isn't doing what they want them to do, they're absolutely savage. They, you know, the way they talk about the fact that, you know, we've had 3 female leaders. Yeah, but look at how you destroyed them all at the end. Boris Johnson was allowed to choose the time of his own leave, and he chose like a couple of months later. Liz Truss, Theresa May, and Margaret Thatcher were all brutally destroyed, to the point where 2 of them were crying as they resigned. You know, it's completely, there is no us amongst them. There's no honor amongst thieves. You know, there's what they want, and that's it. And, you know, even people on their own side will be mercilessly cut down if they get in the way.
Do you think there's
sexually too? Sorry, Ed.
Do you think there's an element of like, because so many of them, and I'm sorry to keep going back to the private education thing, but like, because so many of them are privately educated, that they grow up in this sort of institution where it's not about family, it's not about coming back to your house every day with your mum and your dad giving you a cuddle and asking you how your day was. Is it like you go to your bunk bed in your boarding school or whatever, and it's an institution, and you're part of this house, and it's
I think partly because it isn't. It can be, particularly the boarding schools, can be abusive in itself, and it's almost like they therefore think that any abuse other people receive is fine because I received it. It's like, well, no, you didn't. But
no, that's trauma.
Even that, I still don't get it, because I mean, my upbringing was not very close. My parents weren't affectionate or anything like that, and I lived in my room. I was a little goblin, really. I would scurry downstairs for my food, scurry back upstairs. I was a right recluse, and yeah, I don't want to see anyone suffer, and it gets me quite angry when people are.
Yeah, I think the excuse that people say, well, I went through this, so I mean, like, I think it's fucking bullshit.
It did me no harm.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
you're like, it did. It
totally
did.
Why would you actively want somebody to go through some shit? Do you know what I mean? Just because you went through some shit, it's fucking nonsense.
Well, that's the sort of traumatized narcissism, isn't it? It's like, I went through this, so now I'm going to tell you how hard I had it because it was character building, and it's made me the man I am today, Danny. And
which is a cunt. Come on, if you're saying that to someone, you're the cunt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's trauma mixed with the entitlement. That's the thing, because those fuckers are taught that they're there to rule over us little people, you know. So you've got trauma, you've got a kind of like delusions of grandeur, and then you put those twats in a low paying, relatively to them, low paying MP job, which is quite a lot of money to the rest of us. And then that is just their route into contacts to make more and more money through their lobbying, through their second jobs, through their fifth jobs.
Wow.
And, you know, that is a good wow.
It cut out. I ran out of gas like halfway through.
You didn't do a good old rack.
I've got a message from a really lovely message here from Mike. I drove Sinead O'Connor to her hotel at 3 a.m. When she tried to tip me, not allowed to accept, she told me to wait and then came back with a bottle of wine. I still have that bottle. I don't drink. Oh,
no,
nice.
That's really lovely.
So I'll say a big thank you to Phil Spicer there. £5 super chat. Tories and other right wingers see illness, both physical and mental, as personal failure, not misfortune.
Yes, they do.
I agree with that.
It's like Alan Johnson, isn't it? Illness is weakness or something. I can't
Who was it? Wasn't there an England football manager who said that disabled people had done something bad in a former life?
Oh, Glenn Hoddle.
Glenn Hoddle.
Fucking hell.
That happened. I wasn't dreaming, was I? Yeah.
No, that's 90s. How he lost his job. He was actually doing quite well as an England manager, and then he dropped that bombshell, and that was us having Terry Venables in.
That's
holy
mad.
Jesus.
Fuck.
But that's the way they think. That's the way these people think.
I like hearing stories like that, though, because occasionally when I do a TikTok or like a Twitter video or something, I'll be like, fuck, did I say something stupid there? Or like, and then I hear that shit. I'm fine.
So you're never going to get that fucking anxiety ever again. Just think about like some of these dickheads and what they say.
I mean, like, you do, Aid, but it's not that bad. You do go too far on occasion, but that's why we're friends. But
these things are not mutually... They're not mutually exclusive. I have said things that are too far, but also these guys are arseholes.
Yeah. And you're not that bad an arsehole. You're just shy. But no, that is like the most, and it's not just grim, it's just ignorant as fuck. I mean, there's no proof that people even have past lives, and you're blaming something that someone has no control over on some mystical assumption. It's just
that's like saying like fucking, oh, you deserve to get hit by a car because you was cheeky when you was a kid. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's even madder than that. You were cheeky in a bus.
you were cheeky in school, so you deserve to get cancer when you're 40.
What a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Crazy thing to put out there. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's
Craig Wood says none of them talk about Jamie Wallace MP v trans. Is Jamie the trans
that's right,
MP
the
Tory
Jamie Wallace drunk driving
in Wales, who just had this mad fucking story about drink driving and I don't know. I thought that I thought they had resigned actually, but they're still in post, haven't they?
I don't know I think they're an independent now.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they lost the whip for.
Well, thanks for the super chat, Craig.
Driving, crashing the car into a tree, I think.
Yeah, I mean that sort of thing. You know, it doesn't. If you get drunk and crash a car, then you're not supposed to really be.
But on the list of what this government's done,
or driving, but like that's like they don't give a fuck about the law. Let's be honest.
There's Leaf Huntress pointing out that J.K. Rowling has a charity to get rid of orphanages because children do better with families. Yet rich people in the UK pay a lot to have their children put in similar circumstances. And that's what I call private schools, like, especially the boarding schools. They're posh borstals. That's what they are. There's no difference between a borstal and a private school, except the environs.
The outcome of a private school is that you're going to probably be set up for life, whereas the outcome of borstal is that you're going to have a life of crime. I suppose
either way, you'll be a psychopath.
You get abused in both, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and both end up with criminals running things. So
full of nonsense,
full of criminals, both sides.
Craig saying he was my MP, talking about Jamie Wallace, and I can confirm he was wrecked off his face. So what did he do? Was he in a crash or did he hurt someone? Or?
He drunk drove, and he said that he was leaving a place because he was worried he was going to be assaulted for being trans. So there's that. Maybe we should factor in, but I do think it's really interesting that, like, wasn't he the first Tory MP to come out as trans?
He was,
and then that shit happened, and within fucking like 3 months.
It wasn't that long.
They're like, yeah, you're the first Tory trans MP. Well done. Oh, this is so great for Tory diversity. And within 3 fucking months, it's just like, yeah, you're fucked. Like, get the fuck out of it.
Still a Tory MP.
And also, we're going to start all these like vicious culture wars against that community just to try and win some fash votes. Well,
Are there any other trans MPs? There's just one out the 650.
I mean, proportionally, that wouldn't be. I mean, that would still be sort of high. I mean, the actual proportion of trans people in the country is very low anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is a minority of a minority.
It's very small.
And the fact that you have people like Leanderthal saying we're going to win the next election.
Yeah. Well, Rishi Sunak's agreeing with him now. He's obviously put Lee Anderson in charge of strategy. That's a good move.
Who? Lee Anderson's in charge of strategy.
Rishi Sunak has
stuff they're coming out with.
Confirmed that last year Lee Anderson says we're going to push the culture wars, we're going to push trans issues, we're going to push the
said that, and then
illegal immigrants thing. And now Rishi Sunak's basically said the same thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sunak's not just lost control of the cunt farm, he's joined it. This is the problem. All these people were just running amok crazy, and he inherited this like mad farm from Johnson. And instead of like taking a stand and taking a principled stand and standing by all the things that he said he was going to stand by, he's just gone, fuck it, done nothing besides just placate them and allow them to run amok.
I don't even know.
Such a fucking coward.
I don't know what he is. I don't know whether he's someone who's not a raging psychopath, but is just too weak and politically naive to do anything. Or I don't know if he is just an arsehole.
It's hard.
And who's just a little bit more plausible than Liz Truss. That's for me, that might be it. He had no inclination to. There was a lot of MPs that were made MPs in 2015, and some of them, had been political beasts a long time before. So they were sort of and someone like Rishi Sunak, he'd just been making a fortune. He'd married a billionaire's daughter, And it was like, oh, should I be an MP? Oh, I'll be an MP then. So he knew nothing about politics before 2015. He's only been in politics for 8 years and he's the fucking Prime Minister. So it's no surprise he knows nothing. He's come from that background where everything he's done in his life has gone well, so he doesn't feel he has to learn. I have like failed so many times in life, and you can't, and if you keep blaming, when you're a normal background, if you keep blaming other people, you'll continue to fail. So the only way to like get anywhere is to focus on yourself. Never mind what some other arsehole's done to you. It might be someone else's fault. What I learned when I was about 30 is they're not going to do anything because they're arseholes. Can I do anything to get myself out of this mess? It doesn't matter who caused it. Can I do anything? Yes, I can. So do it. Sunak hasn't done that. So he hasn't learned anything. He's not improved. He's still the same person who tried to pay for petrol with a can of Coke. He's learned nothing. Absolutely nothing, because he doesn't think he has anything to learn.
Do you know who he reminds me of? Do you ever read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, I love that. It's
the B arc.
Favorite books.
The B arc. The people who came and colonized
Earth,
the Golgothresians. And they were all like the middle managers and the telephone sanitizers and stuff. And they didn't know how anything worked or how to do anything. Yeah. Actually, there's another bit in one of the other books where Arthur Dent gets stranded on this planet of people who are like basically in the Iron Age or the Bronze Age or something. And he realizes he doesn't know how to do anything at all. Like he doesn't know how a phone works or computer or anything. And he ends up just making sandwiches. And I always worry about that if I was like trapped somewhere. It's a primitive civilization, and they were like, please teach us your ways, and I'm like, I don't know how a fucking phone works. Jesus Christ, leave me alone. I'll make a sandwich.
Don't fully trust.
But just before we go on, I just want to say a big thank you to Mellow Maggot for the £10 super chat. If you can present reasonably well, it's easier to be prescribed stuff than to try to find out what condition actually needs to be treated. Leaving people to rot springs to mind. RIP NHS. And I think you got a good point there, that there's a good book called Beyond Depression, I think it's called, or something like that. It's by Dr. Christopher Dowrick, who's a lecturer at Liverpool University, and he's also a GP in Liverpool. And he talks about the fact that GPs have about 5 minutes per patient. If it's a mental health problem that's presenting, you need longer than 5 minutes.
And also people mask, which is a big problem.
Yes.
I mask very heavily in all aspects. I think I've got undiagnosed ADHD. And I was told once, because I was working by a GP, that I can't be depressed. And I was like, if I don't work, mate, I lose my house. And a roof over my head.
It's not quite how it works.
It's not how it works, but
As far as I'm aware, and Phil, correct me on this if you know more about it, but the mental health input by Labour, the pledges that they're making is, I'm hoping that it's going to move towards having mental health practitioners as well as general practitioners. Yeah. Is that the plan?
Yeah. I mean, the thing, like you say, I mean, GPs are just that, the general practitioners, and they're not experts on everything. They usually have a specialism. And if they've never been anywhere near mental, I mean, the idea of saying that you can't have a serious mental health issue because you work, it's like, well, you can't have broken your leg. You're a construction worker. I mean, that would be mad, wouldn't it? You would look at that. So how can a doctor actually say it's not possible to work if you've got a mental health issue? You can work if you've got a physical issue. Yeah. What's the pissing difference? Just a different part of your body. So, but so you need. I know Labour's, I mean, some of it, I think to myself, because part of their idea is being able to sort of self-refer to specialists as well. I'm not sure entirely about all that. You could end up trying to get a consultant dermatologist and you've actually got something else.
I think it'll still come to the channels, but they'll cut out the bureaucracy because by the time they send it back.
You can certainly separate out mental and physical issues.
Yeah.
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 Just to drop into the chat there, Ruth Guthrie, Ruth Guthrie, saying sometimes it's better for a child to be settled in the same environment at boarding school than to have constantly changed schools because of the parent's job. Which is, so that happens with army brats a lot, with kids whose parents are in the army rather than being dragged around different places, and also if you are an army brat, good chance that you're getting that private education heavily subsidised. Yeah, and I understand that, but I don't understand why that can't be a state school. Why you can't have state boarding schools for parents who have to have that sort of situation.
Oh God, can you imagine how Oliver state boarding schools would be? Jesus.
That's a really
well, I
good
wouldn't put
point,
my
though,
kids in them.
If you're going to fund, if you're going to fund the forces, if you're going to fund the army, you have to accept that a proportion of your workforce are going to have kids, and you should make appropriate arrangements for them
Absolutely.
to. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think yes, boarding school might be the best of a bunch of solutions if you're in that lifestyle and that industry, but equally that again that's a responsibility of the state to manage that.
Yeah, anything that can be provided by the private sector can be provided by the state. You don't need all of it, but if it's a service, it's an essential public service, it should be. Because apart from anything else, the difference, in theory, if you've got a good government, the difference between a public service and a private service is the private service is focused on profit and a public service is focused on service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Guys, I'm going to have to run. I got to go back inside the house. So
lose my eye.
Well, I said it was only till 10:30, so thank you very much, Jade. You're a legend.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me
do
on.
this again sometime.
Cheerio to everyone. A pleasure as always.
Your dad's balls.
Your dad's balls.
Your dad's
balls.
Your dad's fucking balls. All right.
His dad's balls.
I'll see you later. Okay.
Bye.
Serious conversation about politics.
Jade's dad's balls, which is I mean, I'm flagging myself. I keep getting. I was saying earlier on.
I've got to go in a minute anyway.
Immune system of an orphan in the Victorian era. Moment, I just keep getting proper kind of like virusy. I don't know if it's allergies though, because you've had bad allergies, haven't you, Danny?
I've got fucking terrible allergies, yeah.
You were sneezing like a bastard at Glastonbury. You were like, ah.
Oh yeah, I have like fucking insane. I'm allergic to just dust in general, which is mad. Because there's massive trees here by the house, and this flat, I dust every week, and there's dust everywhere, and my nose is running right fucking now. My throat is fucked right now. Yeah. It's really bad.
You know why that? You know why this is? Because of all the male trees.
Oh yeah.
So basically, in the 1970s and 80s, all the Dutch elms died. So all the elms died from Dutch elm disease. And so councils all across the UK and the US and other countries had to replant the trees. And instead of putting a mixture of female and male trees in, they just put male trees in because they didn't want fruit to drop onto the pavement, people to slip on the fruit and then sue the council. That's why you don't see anything grow on the trees anywhere in any cities in the UK. But what's happened is that somehow the trees, by some chemical signal, know that they're not actually, all the male trees know that they're not fertilizing any female trees. So every year they're producing more and more pollen. And that pollen is what causes the allergies. So and it was town planning.
I know. So
and that's why we've got more allergies than ever before.
Are you saying that it's the patriarch?
Yes. Well, it's the town planners who are basically paid off by the automobile companies to make towns that, helped people, cars that were designed around the physique of a car rather than the physique of a human being.
That's insane. That's a mad fact.
That's what we live in. Yeah. So yeah, blame all the male trees. And if you're ever walking through a park and you smell semen, that's the linden tree that was brought over from America in the Victorian era.
There was quite a good.
You ever smell cum in the park?
Come in the park, run!
Yeah.
You ever smell cum in the park?
It was a good sketch on that.
It's a Peep Show Boys, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
Right.
Mitchell and Webb.
Whitlock, yeah,
Mitchell and Webb. They did quite a good. They did a good.
But it smells of cum.
The trees smell of cum. But no, as Danny was saying, if you smell cum in the park, you're best legging it. Really, don't call the police; they won't help. They'll probably try and attack you.
They'll come as well. They'll try and come on you as well. Like, you know,
Yeah,
the
they
police,
will.
like,
They actually
they're fucking
will.
dirty
They will.
Nazi rapists. Like,
Whether you're alive or dead, they will try and do it.
Yeah.
So,
fuck. True though.
It is
Metropolitan
true.
Police.
It is
Fucking-
true. Like,
So what's put in
it
the
is-
chat? It's the patriarchy. That's what they've done there.
Oh,
Very
patriarchy
good.
wasn't
It's all men's
working.
fault. Has anyone seen the Barbie movie yet?
No, I've not seen
No,
it.
Oh,
Don't say
I have.
anything.
it's
Well, can we not talk about it because I've not seen it yet? I'm meant
Yeah,
to be
I would
going
like
to a
to see
double
it.
bill this week.
It's,
Oh, you're
with,
doing the double.
Yeah.
with Oppenheimer.
Bob,
Mm.
Bob.
Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer? Is that the one? Is that... I might be smelling cum sooner than you think.
Talking of cum, Jess Hunter's just put in a £2 super chat saying tree bukkake, utter arboreal filth.
Fuck, you know.
I think we're gonna have to wind this social up. It's descending. It's descending. Oh my god, they're talking about dogging now in the chat.
Oh wow, okay. Not for me.
And Mellow Maggot wants to know where's this cum park then.
Cum
Oh my
park.
god, what have we done?
Should I just open a cum park? That'll be the next plot that I buy. I'll buy a plot and I'll
Fill it
plant
full
loads
of
of
linden
trees.
trees.
Yeah, fill it full of trees, and then I'll fucking run around wanking. just to make sure it's proper cum.
But yeah, there's a lot of things we could do better, and at the moment, with these clowns in charge, none of the things that we want to see, whether it is better town planning, whether it's an effective defense against climate change, whether it's actually giving people in minorities who are part of minorities rights and just not treating them like shit. We're not going to see any of this. We are not going to see any of this until this absolute shower of shit who are in charge of this country right now are gone. We need them out of it, and then brought to justice.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think it's a conversation that maybe we was having the other week about we are never, and it's not just us, like other marginalized groups and schools and teachers and nurses and doctors, we are never going to be treated equally under this government. Nothing is ever going to change under this government. There is not going to be the correct funding in any area under this government, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, so you got to get the fuckers out.
And not just out, just fucking out, like fuck them
Decimated,
like,
out,
you know what
like,
I mean?
humiliated. Like, what I want to see is them fucking humiliated and losing access to all those little perks that they get by not doing their job properly or playing at being an MP. Just yeet them the fuck out of public life, humiliate them. And what I'd like to see is if they could bring in some kind of law or some kind of legislation so that they can actually be tried for what they've done, because
I'd really like that, to be honest.
Just get
I think if we have an inquiry, a proper inquiry into things like Russian interference in the Brexit referendum, which we've not had an inquiry into. We have an inquiry into cronyism, the VIP lanes, which we're not getting. You know, the COVID inquiry might not be a criminal inquiry in any way, shape, or form. We need a separate inquiry to go, did you give billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to your mates?
I think that there should actually be a referendum on that, because we know that, like, the Labour Party or any other party, to be honest, isn't going to say, oh, let's spend this money on this inquiry. And I think that maybe there should be a referendum where the people get to decide, and then not only like fucking get to the bottom of the issue and find these dickheads guilty, but actually make them pay the money.
Can I just remind you, however, which group of people has a 100% win record on referenda in this country?
Oh, fuck off.
But there's also the point that
the side that spends the most on advertising.
Every
time.
Point, which is why I think there should be a criminal investigation into these people, because inquiries are expensive. We have to pay for them. They go on for years and years and years, and at the end, the government don't have to implement any recommendations or anything. Look at the Hillsborough inquiry. Look at Grenfell. Where are the charges? Where's the accountability? It means fuck all. We need a criminal investigation into their actions. They're responsible for millions of people's safety, and they failed us at every turn. And anyone else, if you kill one person, you get put away for life. You know, they've killed like loads of people through austerity, ideological austerity, through COVID negligence, through, you know, people freezing to death in their own homes from poverty.
Yeah, 4,000 a year, like at least. No.
Wow.
No way. Like these people should be in prison. I mean, sadly, prison's the only thing that we can do. If I had it my way, they'd just be punted off a fucking pier. But you know,
shot into the sun. I got suspended. I got suspended for a week on Facebook for saying that the Tories should be put in a rocket and shot into the sun. Yeah, I said they should be put in a rocket and shot to the sun, and they was like, "That's it, one week ban." I wasn't being serious. It would cost too much.
It'd probably be crueler to punt them off Blackpool Pier, actually, given the state of the sea at the moment.
Yeah, was it called a trebuchet or
trebuchet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Just line them up on Blackpool Pier and just push them in one at a time.
Yeah, weighted.
They don't need to be weighted. They can just say hello to the shit they had that morning.
I would like to.
Can't we because there's loads of shit in the sea already, and I don't want to contribute to that. But can't we get the orcas to fucking put them on a boat and get the orcas to fucking get the orcas, put them on Michelle Moan's boat and tell the orcas, "Oi, mate, like this dickhead says Willie's a cunt."
I love the way the orcas are rising up, man. Like we need to get them near Michelle Moan's fucking yacht.
Yeah, for real. It's like somebody they heard us say "eat the rich" and was like, "We'll try."
I love the fact that they've got together though. Obviously, one orca's just been fucked off by a boat, and she's told all the other orcas, like, these boats have got to go.
It's actual kind of like revenge. So she's had some kind of trauma or injury.
Yeah.
She's just like basically teaching
the plot of Jaws: The Revenge.
I love it, man. I think the orcas fuck up loads of people. Like I think it's no less than we deserve. Look at all the poor animals that are dying in the wildfires because of our fuck up.
This is why the people who want climate change to happen are extinctionists. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They want extinction of not just us, but all species on Earth. That's not moss.
They just need to stop the fucking fossil fuel.
Thanks to Maggie Pie, by the way, for 20 Swedish krona there. They're talking about the trees. They're incel trees. Incels turn everything toxic.
They actually are incel trees. They want it, but they can't have it because they're... actually, no, the trees are less guilty than incels, though, aren't they? Because if incels actually, just got their shit together and had a shower, they'd probably get, some sex. But trees have got no choice.
Well, up till this year, I never met a tree I didn't like. I always liked trees, even like, just trees are always nice things, And then in our back garden, we had a hawthorn, and it was not just any normal hawthorn; it was an iron hawthorn. And this thing broke 3 of my saws trying to chop it down. Like, it was just...
It defended itself.
Yeah, it defended the bastard. How dare it? And I cut my finger, because obviously it's a hawthorn, and it just keeps growing. Like, seriously, you cut it and down to the stump, and then it keeps growing, and you're like, why won't you just die? It's a bit like V for Vendetta.
You need to pair the hawthorn with the incel.
Yes. Andrew Tate trees, as Duke Vengeance has just said. But yeah. So, by the way, before we go, we haven't mentioned the fact that Twitter is now not Twitter anymore, it's X.
Oh, it's X. But fucking he's getting sued, right? Did you know about this?
He's getting sued by all people he hasn't paid.
So basically, that as well. But so Elon Musk has got a record of being sued. He's been sued like a bunch of times now. But X, the brand for social media services, is already trademarked by Meta. And lawyers came out and said there's 100%.
How do you trademark a pissing letter?
For that specific use for a social media platform? That's what they said. And the lawyers are saying there's a 100% chance that they are now suing Elon Musk.
Oh wow.
Brilliant.
And it's just, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it was a movie that came out last year. It was a horror movie called X.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It's very good. Did you see the prequel? Did you see the prequel?
Did, yeah, I did. Very good.
That was good as well.
Oh, you did? Like, this is... I mean, like I remarked earlier on that it looks like the kind of branding that you'd get for like a low budget strip club in like Leon Sea or something, where there's just jizz everywhere. And, like,
too many trees. Too many
fucking linden trees.
Like crushed velvet walls, and just like sad dancers. That's the kind of, that's what it looks like. It just looks fucking shit.
But Phil, it's a Unicode.
It's a Unicode thing.
A Unicode letter.
Untrademarkable. So that's why you probably would get it at a seedy bar, because you can just use it, and it doesn't belong to you, but it can't belong to anyone.
But there's still people who think he's a genius, Phil. What do you do with these people?
He's not. He's not a fucking.
Stop them voting for a start.
He's proved time and time again that he's not a fucking genius, even though people call him a genius. Like when he has no ideas, he goes to his staff and he asks them for ideas. He asks them to pull fucking all-nighters to think of ideas to make Twitter better. That's how much of a fucking genius he is.
Well, they should have done when remember he at one point put a poll on saying, should I step back and should there be another chief executive? And everyone said, yeah. And he said, all right, then. And someone suggested he should just put a fucking dog in charge. And he never did that. And we've been much better off for that.
He should. A dog would do better.
Maybe if Liz Truss would do better, to be honest.
And she's just basically a fucking dense waxwork.
And she's a shit fucking lettuce wannabe.
She's a lettuce.
I had someone on my Facebook going, oh, but look, because we were talking about Tesla, and I said it's the most overpriced stock in the world. He's like, yeah, but the profits have gone up by X, and I looked it up, and their net profit, the important one, the net profits have gone down by 19% in a year. That's catastrophic.
Yeah, that's insane.
If Sainsbury's lost 9% of their profit, that 19% of their profits, that would be the hedge
chief
funds
executive
would be circling.
The chief executive would definitely be gone.
Without Farage getting involved.
Without, and most rational people look at Musk and they're like, "What a fucking bellend!" But the rest of the people, all he has to do is shit his pants. They're like, "Well, he did such a great job." It's just fucking crazy.
But also he wants.
He
wants to call tweets Zeets now with an X.
X-E-T-S.
All I'm saying is, fucking.
Has he become Kanye?
Mark Zuckerberg should absolutely change Threads to Twitter now.
Yeah,
Twitter's not Twitter. He does the funniest thing possible. He could do the funniest thing possible.
Birds everywhere. Just cover the whole site in birds. Yeah, that would be amazing. But they're still called tweets though on the thing. He's changed everything to look like a seedy nightclub, and then it still says tweet where you go to tweet.
Well, yeah. I mean, the website has to be called twitter.com. Otherwise, I won't go there. My link is to twitter.com. If he can't just change it to something else.
The fact that he's changed it though, he's changed the logo of something, and you think about all of the publicity, business cards, any websites that have the Twitter bird logo on them, and that's not the logo anymore.
All he bought was Twitter. He didn't. For $44 billion, if he wanted to create his own social media platform, he could have just hired engineers to build it from the ground up. Yeah. It would have cost way less than that. He bought the brand. And now
then
he's
fired all the engineers.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't work.
What do you think of this theory that he bought it to destroy it?
I think
it's a lot of money.
A lot of people.
It's not his money, though, is it?
It wasn't his money.
He was loaned money by some shady businessman in the Middle East.
Well, yeah, but still, he's still going to be liable for it. Admittedly, I did check it out. If Twitter was to suddenly be worth $1, he's still the second richest. He'd still be richer than Bezos, just about. That's the gap between him and the third richest person at the moment. But nonetheless, it's a lot of money to just piss away just because you want to stick it to the liberals.
You know, Forbes did a study on how much money Smaug the dragon from the Hobbit had, and it came out like 56 billion or something. So there's a good couple dozen people on the planet who have more money than Smaug.
A lot more. Morsky's got a ridiculous amount. He's not even, he's second richest, but let's have a look in here now.
But isn't it all in stocks and stuff? I mean, obviously the stocks go down.
The thing is, they use that as an excuse to not pay bastard.
Yeah, but if Tesla goes tits up, then
he'll lose value, certainly. I had a better thing here at the moment.
David Farrow in the chat saying Musk is doing a remake of Brewster's Millions. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Such a great movie. Such a great movie. Vote for none of the above.
Emerald nons. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm tired, man. I need to have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
I did say this was only going to be till 10:30. So
yeah, you're a dickhead for making me come on here for fucking 2 hours or whatever it is.
I'm the worst. The worst.
Having a about, Danny? We talked about the cum trees. Aren't you happy?
No, I'll never be happy.
Jizz trees.
The
Come on.
cum trees make me happy.
You learned something. I learned something. I didn't know about those jizz trees.
You don't know about jizz.
I'm so
You
glad
You don't know about jizz, mate.
How dare you tell me that I don't know about jizz?
Nobody's jizzed on you for fucking years, like.
No, actually, that's where you're wrong. Actually,
it was yesterday.
Excuse me, no, stop this! Stop this! This is a professional platform.
Actually.
This is what
we'll do this some other time.
No, we won't. We won't. I'm not coming. I've been here long enough.
How dare you tell me when I've been jizzed?
No, thank you very much,
Danny. Phil, thank you very, very much for joining us tonight on the Labour Social, and we'll be doing this again in a couple of weeks' time. So please tune in for that, and I will hopefully let you all know beforehand. But big thank you to everyone in the chat. Big thank you for all the super chats, members, and the patrons watching. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. No, I just wrapped.